Shabbat Shalom. We read a double Torah portion this week, Behar Behukotai, and in that way we complete Sefer Vayikra. This means that as of this Shabbat, we will have started and completed all of Sefer Vayikra away from our shul. This is true not just for our shul, but for every shul in North America. And it almost defies belief that such a thing could be possible, that in every synagogue in our country, the entire book of Leviticus was started and finished without ever being read from a Sefer Torah in the context of a minyan. And yet, the message of Sefer Vayikra, that holiness that begins in the Mikdash, in the sanctuary, and among the Kohanim, expands to include each and every one of us where we live. That's the experience that we've all had over the past 8 weeks. We didn't read Vayikra, we lived Vayikra as we turned our homes into the central location for holiness. And if you didn't succeed in doing that, that's also okay. It's not too late. In this week's opening portion of Parashat Behar, we are introduced once again to the mitzvah of Shemitah, the sabbatical year. The land must lie fallow every seventh year. Various kinds of agricultural labors are forbidden, debts are canceled, and economic life comes to a halt. You can imagine the fields are empty of people, the land is desolate, economic activity ceases, the marketplaces are empty. It sounds kind of familiar, and it sounds a little bit scary. So the Torah here acknowledges in our Parsha just how scary the prospect of Shemitah is. I can't think of any other location where the Torah introduces a mitzvah and then says, oh, you're going to find this hard and don't worry and you'll raise this objection. I can't think of any other, and if you think of a case, please let me know. But in our portion this week, V'chi Tomru, after the mitzvah Shemitah is described, V'chi Tomru, and should you ask, Manochal b'shna shvit, what are we going to eat in the seventh year if we neither sow nor gather in our crops? And Kadosh Baruch Hu responds. God says, "V'tziviti et birchati lachem." I will ordain my blessing for you in the sixth year, so that it shall yield a crop sufficient for 3 years. Meaning, in the sixth year we have food for the sixth year, and also for the seventh year where we're not farming, and also for the beginning of the eighth year until those eighth year crops have time to take root and to be harvested. So the Torah introduces the objection, the Torah acknowledges the fear, and the Torah responds to that fear. The Malbim in the 19th century says that the word v'chi tomru shouldn't be translated as "and if you ask," but rather should be translated as "when you ask." Okay, he says the word ki in this, as it's used, v'chi tomru, is not an if, it's a when. Definitely, any people confronted with a mitzvah like Shemitah, they're going to be nervous, they're going to have fears, and they're going to express them. That's not a matter of when, that's a matter of if. Sorry, it's a matter of when. When, not if. For sure. It's human and it's natural to have those fears when confronted with a challenge that is so daunting. The Netziv, in the later part of the 19th century, in his commentary to the Torah, Ha'emek Davar, he points out that the prospect of observing Shemitah, of, again, not farming for an entire year, is something that could only be imagined as a successful endeavor through miraculous intervention by God. And therefore, a mitzvah like Shemitah could only really be observed by the type of people who deserve miracles. Through their piety and their devotion to Torah and mitzvot, those types of people who deserve miracles and can prepare for miracles, for them, Shemitah is a simple thing to carry out. But for the rest of us who don't deserve miracles and can't expect them, okay, it's for people like us the Torah is saying, don't worry, okay? The worry is natural because you can't expect miracles, but HaKadosh Baruch Hu is saying somehow, God's governance of the world will make sure that even people like us turn out okay, even when we don't deserve a miracle. So my blessing for all of you this Shabbat and the coming week is for safety and for health and for prosperity, for you and for all of us, even those of us who don't deserve miracles, we should still merit experiencing God's protection and God's blessing all the same. Shabbat Shalom.